Welcome to Global Peace Studies for Sustainable Development in Africa, where we discuss pertinent issues of peace and sustainability around the world and across Africa. I am George Mutalemwa, moderating this webinar. The theme is the unthinkable, ignored, and brutal economic war in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. The speaker is Mr. Ben Mussanzi wa Mussangu, co-founder of the Center for Conflict Resolution, officially known in French as Centre Résolution Conflit. Thank you, Ben Mussangu. Please guide us to make Congo peaceful again. I thank you all for your participation. And please join me in welcoming Ben Mussanzi wa Mussangu.
Yeah, friends, thank you very much. Can I start speaking?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'll be saying slide because we will run out of time, after time, dear George. So anytime I say slide, you move quickly because there are plenty of slides there. Okay. The content for this presentation will start by introduction, and we'll go to geopolitics. I'll give you a kind of there is somebody's laptop making noise. If they can put it in silence. We'll talk about the context, the current situation, by the way. And then quickly, I will give a few literature review, including the Bible. So don't be don't be surprised. I'll be giving lots of verses from the Bible. We'll move to why the conflict today, and we'll talk about colonization, coloniality. What I call coloniality is a maybe brand new context I travel across the UK to talk about. And then we'll move to resolution conflict, what we have done as survivor, because I'm a survivor of Congo War, and then what we have done at CRC, Conflict Resolution Center. And then finally, I'll say what you, dear friends, can do in solidarity with Congo people, and then we'll move on. Slide. It's not moving? Great. The preliminary remark is that I have a physiological problem of saliva. So if you see me taking all the time, no, can you come back? Go back again. Yeah, this saliva problem. If you see me anytime taking my water, that is because my saliva is drying quickly. And but you'll help me to make that mouth to have rest. You'll help me at the second part. You will complete all this. I know among you there are many people who know more about Congo's disaster. This is hard talk because honestly, we'll be talking about insiders and outsiders, because you know the Nigerian writer called Chimamanda said that one-way information is always dangerous. Slide. Okay, we'll move to learning outcomes of this talk. The general objective is that you who are listening to me to be informed about this crisis in relation to coloniality concept. And another slide. At the end of this meeting, you'll become activists like me. You'll become peacemaker. I know you are peacemaker, but there are peacemakers and peacemakers. I would like you to become peacemaker at the end of this talk. No, sorry. I would like you to be activists like me. And then to be aware that in our mobile, there are what we call blood in your mobile. We'll talk about that later. And then I would like you to be the supporter of CRC wherever you are. And finally, I would like you to be in solidarity with Congo people. And we'll talk about how you can do that. Slide. Great. Let's start by introduction. Thank you very much for inviting me, my dear George, on the behalf of the Global Peace Studies for Sustainable Development in Africa. My name is Ben Mussanzi or Mussangu. Each part of that name has a meaning. Ben comes from Benoit in French, meaning Benedict or blessed. Mussanzi means friend of everyone. And Wa in Swahili means son of. Mussangu means recently I asked the name of my dad, Mussangu, meaning I found that it means in my mother tongue in Congo, called Ngiti, it means mediator. So it means names follow. So for those who are not married, please don't give whichever name to your children, because names follow. In my country, people give name Mateso, meaning suffering, and young people will suffer the whole year, the whole life. Okay, more about this, you'll read it in the invitation email that George has written about me. I'm an awareness-raising strategist. I'm a peace master. As family, by the way, we are all peace masters from Bradford Uni. I'm an armed hero because I am one of 16 unarmed heroes London-based Peace Direct has written about. So if you Google unarmed heroes, you'll find me. In that book, in that email from George, there is even the link where you found that book. I'm a traumatized dad. I'm a traumatized grandpa because although I live in Bradford, I'm not sleeping because I still have my first daughter in Goma with our grandchildren. So as parents, you can guess how it is awful for us from away to see what is happening there. I'm one of survivors. I'll talk about that. You'll read about that in the book. First reflection is from the theory called in Peace Studies, Fire Next Door. Probably it's something coming from oral tradition in Africa, and somebody got it and put it and become a theory today in peace studies. Slide. In that introduction, also I can mention African wisdom because that is what is related to this fire next door. What to do when your neighbor's house is on fire? The African wisdom say, don't sleep because next time it will be your house. Another wisdom is from the Bible, which I call divine wisdom. We say what to do when it's your neighbor who has burned your house and who denies. Okay, because the house is burning, the first thing to do is give emergency to switch the fire first. You can discuss later, you can go to court later, you can do the conflict resolution later. You'll find that in Isaiah chapter 33, you can find that in Romans chapter 12, which I call myself peace studies book or chapter, Romans chapter 12. This presentation is in the form of storytelling, both academia let's say as academic and as prophetic. You'll find you'll find how people like me, whose activists who were peacemakers in their time, Jeremiah or King David, they always start by lamentation. At the end, they will finish by praise, by thanking God by faith, thanking God for, although around them it's just fire and fire. So this is an idea I got when I was in Pristina in Kosovo in June 2002. At that time, strangely, Congo was on fire just as it is exactly today. Slide. Let's move to geopolitics. Geopolitics of DRC, we can start by a map. Let's go for the map. Before the map, Congo is a country of contrast. It's very complex, so rich, but so poor. Rich geologically. You find all type. Sometimes we ask ourselves, why did God do this? To put all these minerals the world need in our country, and to make and the country has become so poor. Let's say this rich, all these minerals have become curse for us instead of blessing. Geologically, well, look, could come back a bit. We are rich geologically. We are rich culturally. This is a country of 450 languages, 450 ethnic groups. We have lots of religions, mainly Christian. So we are so rich, but unfortunately, socially, we are so poor. The best example I could give is in 2022, we went for what we call peace building and reconciliation that we do every year in CRC. We went to Congo, and I was stuck there for 3 months because I got ill, and I nearly passed away because there was no a hospital where I could be helped to get a pacemaker because I had heart problem. Can you imagine a country so rich, but which doesn't have any infrastructure with a pacemaker? Really sad. So sometimes it becomes a dilemma for people who want to help. How to help this country? I have pity of country like South Africa or whatever who are coming to help, but a country so poor, can you fight in the name of this country when themselves they are so poor that they can't fight for themselves? That is a dilemma. But the good news, people know God is there and God will help. So this PowerPoint is all about all these contracts. Next. The second thing I could say is geologically is Congo has strategic position. We call it the heart of Africa. And if you put the map, because this is exactly what Frantz Fanon, many of you know this. Frantz Fanon, know this man called Frantz Fanon, amazing African writer who said something. Can you put the map? The next. Frantz Fanon said, Africa has the form of a revolver with the trigger. I hope it's trigger because English is my seventh language. So sorry, sometimes I use a wrong term. Or trigger is in the Congo. The form of revolver, just if you turn Africa, which is in the middle, and strangely on any world map, John and listeners, you find Congo in the middle of Africa, and you find Africa in the middle of the world, meaning Congo is the heart of the world. For Frantz Fanon, when he said that, it means simply that anything happening in Africa, in the Congo, will affect the whole world. If the world is so broken, dear listeners, if the world is so broken today, it's because the world is like, thank you for showing. Thank you for showing. Congo is in the middle of Africa. If the world is so broken with war, the war all over in Sudan, in Sudan is just next to us, and in Ukraine up there, it's simply because the world is like somebody whose heart is broken, and somebody who has heart attack will not survive except the doctors do something. Next. So let me now move to the third quiz. Next, my first quiz is who has a mobile phone? Can we just, even if you don't show your hand, that is question number one. Who has a mobile phone? We all have it. There we are. I have some people who have it. And I think all of us, we have mobile. Myself, I have a mobile telephone. I have mine here. So this gadget is what has killed 10 million of people. Can we have 10 seconds just for that of silence? Thank you. Next slide. Question number 2. Who has 100% electric car or hybrid electric car? Nobody, maybe. Next. Who here in this room, this virtual room, does know that 10 million plus have been killed in the Congo in the last 3-decade war because of these 2 gadgets as I have mentioned? Somebody want to speak? Yeah, come on. Okay. Peter, it's like Peter want to say something.
Oh, no, thank you, sir. I was answering affirmatively that I was aware of this terrible situation.
Thank you. Slide number 4. Yeah, another slide. Question. Let's move now to current situation. Meaning, we are focusing on February 2025. Next. George, to respond to your email where you asked me to talk about the current situation, I can say this is just another episode of the 3-decade crisis. Next. Today, Rwanda-backed M23 rebels have captured key towns, and that was in February 2nd, I think. They have captured 2 cities of 2 key provinces in the east of the Congo, Goma and then Bukavu. Next. But remember, apart from M23 rebels, there are other 50, we could say plus, because some other estimations speak about 200 armed groups nearly in the east of the Congo. Next. M23 is just negatively famous because of it's the only one supported clearly by Rwanda, although they denied, apparently to protect the Tutsis of Congo, just as Putin is doing it in Ukraine. The difference here is in Rwanda, the President Kagame is denying. In Ukraine, Putin goes and recognizes it officially. But in reality, what is behind this game are what we call the box of minerals. Next. As a result, we have chaos. This is a country. If you have never know what it means to have chaos, Congo is one. Go to Kinshasa, for example, which is 2,000 miles away. You'll be shocked by the chaos in streets. A country where there is a chaos, even the people don't know how to drive properly on the road. And another chaos is shown in the death I mentioned, 10 million plus. The grieving, the crying. You find nearly each family has lost somebody. The internally displaced people, 5 million. That is what UN resources are talking about. Sorry, I'm talking about 5, not 5, 7 million. 7 million of displaced people. And the war recently in February has removed all these people who fled their houses to be in refugee camps. Now these are people. Most of them are those who were killed in the city center when the city was captured, because they fled from refugee camp, confused, without knowing where to go. And another chaos is refugees. Refugees like me. You find us all over the world. I don't know if there is no country where there is no refugee from Congo. Next. So laments. This is, I said I'm lamenting here. It's really a lament, this talk. And but at the end, I am also praising as a believer. I praise God because at the end, believe or not, sooner or later, this will end. Next. Illustration, I could give a simple illustration to resolve the Congo conflict. I give it because my background is from radiology, so I give often the example of the abscess. It's what we call in French abcès. I don't know if it's the same term in English. I simply put abscess. So to treat abscess, you can't just put some medication of that place and then you send the patient home. No, you have to do what is called incision, and it hurts. You use the bisturi. I don't know bisturi, what is it in English? And the surgeon will take that place and push the abscess, the pus to get out. What we call, and then put some drain in it. It's called drainage. And all that process is really traumatic. So that is what is needed to resolve Congo, because it's so hard. We need that from the international community. Next. Another result of the Congo war is the mass graves. Mass graves all over. People don't have time to, when particularly now, the bodies are just thrown in mass graves. The rape. Congo is known as the capital of rape. What a shame for us when we hear that from far, that our country has become the capital of rape. My wife is called Kongosi Mussanzi. She wrote her thesis in Bradford Uni in 2005, and her focus was rape as weapon of war. And then she came with the idea that At that time, we were talking about weapon of mass destruction in Iraq. She said the true weapon of mass destruction is rape in the Congo, because we don't know with these people, soldiers who are HIV positive, who are raping deliberately, and the idea is to destroy the whole nation. And we don't know what next, what will happen in this country in 20 or 50 years, when we will not be around. So Congo is please come back. There is somebody's coming from a writer from Human Rights Watch. She said Congo is a most dangerous place to be a woman, a girl, a child, simply a human being. Next. As a result, also, Congo crisis is the unthinkable, ignored, brutal. This is our title today. Unthinkable, ignored, and brutal. Rarely reported, and deliberately, by the way, humanitarian disaster in the world. Next. I'll show you, of course, I'll show you a few images of an orphan, a mom, and then other images, the best illustration of Congo humanitarian disaster are these two, an orphan and a mom. But I have removed for more sensitive images just to not to upset you. Next. This image, this woman with hands on the head. I don't know what you see in the eyes of this lady. This is a refugee who has been in refugee camps for years. And now M23 has come in February 2025 to bomb them. Many have been killed. And she has fled. She reached the town and she just stands confused in the middle of the town. And she doesn't know where to go. Second slide. This orphan speaks, this image speaks for itself. Next. These are images we are used to, because since 1994 in Rwanda, we saw things like this, but it's happening today in the Congo and in total silence. Next. Anything people take when they're fleeing is their mattress, because there is no house there. At least you have your mattress. You are rich because you know where you can sleep under the stars. Next. Those who have bikes, they are among the richest because they can pack their stuff on their back. Next. Or those who have car. Next. Out there in the middle of the forest or whatever, the first thing they start is building houses, building what we call whatever. I don't know if it's a house, I don't know. Next. There we are. So the current episode have shown how the international community, the so-called international community, the continental community or AU, or the regional communities like SADC or Eastern African community, all have failed or are failing, let's say, because it's still in the process. All the meetings in New York on 26th of January, nothing came out. That was the UN Security Council's 98-49th meeting on Congo. And after that, they went to Luanda. They went to Harare. They went to Dar es Salaam. Dar es Salaam, yes. And then recently, a few days ago, they were in Addis Ababa, but nothing. Next. In the meantime, as I have said, 2 capitals have been captured. But the good news, next, before I go to, sorry, come back, please. Before I go to literature review, the good news is that God is giving to these people the idea nobody could expect. Meaning, we don't know what will happen tomorrow. Because, for example, when people in Bukavu saw that people were about 5,000 were killed in 2 days in Goma, they took another decision to not oppose, starting by the soldiers themselves who fled, leaving the space empty, so that these M24 rebels can just walk through the city, and that saved lives. So it's really interesting. Next. Literature review, I will just mention books. We can go one by one. Next. Okay, let me start from this. This one, it's an amazing documentary on YouTube designed by a group like CRC, but in America. It's a group of young people like ourselves who fled in the Congo, in the US, as we fled in the UK 20 years ago, and then who set up what is called Friends of the Congo group. That group put this documentary, it's called Crisis in the Congo, Uncovering the Truth. And you can find that if you take just the title. Of course, they will ask you age verification just to show that you are old enough to watch this sensitive video. Next. I hope as peacemakers, dear listeners, you have this book in your library. It's King Leopold Ghost by Adam Hochschild. Next. And Barbara King-Solver wrote another book about Congo long ago. It's called The Poisonous Bible. Next. La construction de la paix et le rôle de la MONUSCO, meaning the peace building and the role of UN mission in the Congo. That is another book written by Bienvenue Kiara Kuba. Next. Lumumba, The Assassination of Lumumba by Ludo is another book. Next. Rape as weapon, sorry, Violence Against Women, Rape as an Instrument of War. That is by Kongosi. Next. That is in Bradford Uni. The same thing here. First African World War, Causes, Effects, Resolution, and we could even say transformation. That is the case of DRC. That was written by myself 22 years ago. Next. Another literature review we could mention is the Bible, where it said in 2 Corinthians that we are therefore Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making his appeal through us. Us, who are us? Today, us are we who are in this virtual room. Be reconciled with God and also be a channel of peace, we could say. Next. Blessed are the peacemakers. This is Matthew writing when he was talking, he was reporting about Jesus' life. Blessed are the peacemakers because they, I do add, only them will be called children of God. Next. We are naturally, dear friends, we are naturally peacemakers. And the best example, next, is when you find two children fighting. You are getting out of your office and then you find the children in the playground playing football, and suddenly two of them are fighting and others are just applauding. If you are a father, a responsible father, you will not say that these are not my children. You'll go and tell them to stop fighting and to tell them why, don't fight. You are brothers. So that is a message for all of us here. Let's stop DRC war. It's possible. It's possible. Let's go for next one. Let's move to what no action or no reaction in front of the injustice is just complicity. That is Martin Luther King who said that. Next. Now let's move to chapter number 6, which is why. Let's go to why. It's a huge why. Many times I have been for the last 3 weeks, since nearly 3 weeks since the war started. This news episode started. I have been busy here, invited in different places, different radios, different stuff to talk about the first question: why are your people fighting? Why? So this is the key. Next slide. This is the main question. What is the Congo war about today? Why? Next. In peace studies, we could respond quickly that there are apparent real causes. Next. In classic conflict resolution theories, one may give many reasons. For example, when we are facilitating workshops in the Congo and elsewhere, in Mali, in wherever we are invited to help people after the war, we mention these are key reasons, differential causes, for example. Our differences is the main cause for our conflict, meaning misunderstanding. But that is true in a family. You can see in Africa, we do say even twins can have conflict or can misunderstand themselves or each other. Twins, spouses, in community, even at the international level, differences is one of the reasons. Next. But in terms of Congo, there are many reasons. Next. Congo and Rwanda are different, of course. Out there, they have 3 ethnic groups. We have 450. You know, it's normal, it's natural. It's part of the creation. We are different. But we have to know that we will remain neighbors forever. Believe or not. Believe or not. But these politicians may divide us, but Congolese have to know they will remain neighbors. Because Rwanda will never be removed from that side geographically. It will be there. And also we have 450 ethnic groups in the other side, in the Congo. And these 450 ethnic groups will remain united. They are called to be together, whatever their differences. By the way, I like the anthem of Congo which says, Debout Congolais, vous êtes unis par le sort. It means you have been united by the invisible hands. So you have to stand one. And that is what has to be also true for Africa. We are united. Nobody chose to be where you are today. You know, of course, as I said, I'll say later, in 1885, we were divided in Berlin, like a Christmas cake, or here in England, we talk about Yorkshire pudding. but we are obliged to be together. Next. I went to do my research in Tervuren. Tervuren in next to Brussels there. That is where you have the huge museum with all stuff stolen from Congo during the colonization. And from there, I came with a thesis I started doing research on to find why this problem. I came with one thesis. The result of the Congo War is the result of an international conspiracy. Well designed long ago and aiming that Congo, of course, Africa in general, must remain disorganized, the jungle, the plantation, where you'll come and take your raw material and disappear. It took time to demonstrate that. So in that book called First African World War, you find all that thoughts. Let's move to another slide. But there are also historical causes. The legacy of slavery, colonization, even Christianity. You know, during many people don't know that priests were forced. Of course, it was, they were forced by the king who was in Brussels. He never traveled to Congo, but he was giving order through the governor based in Kinshasa, at that time called Leopoldville, the name of the king. And the Christian priests were like the puppet of the king. Later, the Belgian colonizers did the same thing. So these are historical causes. Next. The third reason is that there are many, many, many players today. DRC is like a pitch, a playground, let's say, for football. By the way, the Professor P.L.O. Lumumba speaks very, very well about this stuff. But there are places where I agree with him, but there are places where I don't agree with P.L.O. Lumumba, because there are things he say which are completely wrong. Maybe he's not informed. But today, that is not the topic. But what I want to mention here is that Congo is like a pitch or playground where two teams are playing, just as we watch on our TV, Manchester United playing against Manchester City. It's exactly what's happening there. Out in our case of Congo conflict, the ball is the box of mineral. And the players, you find them from the East, from China, Russia, now, and from the West, US, UK, EU, and you know, all these so-called developed countries, they are playing. In the meantime, who are suffering, who are dying, is the grass, the ordinary population. Next. Another response is that responsibilities here are really shared between insiders and outsiders. Yesterday it was Berlin Conference where states met, but in post-independent era, multinationals who have become even stronger than states. These are one group of players. They are invisible, but they are there. And on the ground, they take somebody, of course, they take him or her, hostage, and then they make them strongman. Of course, so far, I don't know if there is a strong woman, but strong men who become friend of state. The best case is Mobutu. Mobutu was presented or introduced in Washington by Reagan as the best friend of America. You know why? Simply because of this game. After Mobutu, it was Saddam. After Saddam, now it's Kagame. But next slide. Yesterday, if we can do a kind of, if you can go, we can divide this slide in two. In the left side is yesterday, and the right side is today. So yesterday it was King Leopold II, today multinationals, yesterday colonialist, today neo-colonialist. Yesterday physically, they were doing their job physically. Today it's by remote control using, let's say, strongmen. I don't know if I have finished. Where am I now? Can I still continue? I can't hear you, George. Okay, fine. So, as you see, this crisis has taken 138 years, since 1885. The Congo was called at the time État indépendant du Congo, free state, which is not free. In terms, we understand the freedom, but in terms of personal, it was a personal property of the king. And you can read it in the book I mentioned, King Leopold's Ghost. And this king became simply how was to say this? He became a proper businessman, business around the product called rubber. Just as today, after 1996, I'll jump 1905 when Congo was called the Belgium Congo. It has its crisis. Later, it was the colonization up to 1960. And then it was also another crisis there, what we call the nostalgic Belgium, trying to, regretting why they have given independence and they're trying to take over. But since 1996, next year it will be 30 years. The same scenario of crisis, but around another product. Many, I mentioned coltan for this. I did mention cobalt for the electric cars. My friend, I'm sorry to say that because I'm a peacemaker and I'm not supposed to hate. I hate people who try to resolve a problem by creating another problem. You want to resolve climate change, and to resolve that, you have to sacrifice Congolese people so that you can get your cobalt, and then you are enjoying the electric cars here. No, that is wrong. That is wrong. And I repeat that, it's wrong. Next slide. We can move to another one because now we are running after time. Onana, who is Charles Onana, is a writer from Cameroon, but I think he's from originally. Now he's French, I think, French from Cameroonian origin. He wrote a book you have to read. It's in French. I don't know if there is an English version now. It's called Holocaust au Congo, meaning genocide in the Congo. And now, when we are talking here, the young man who wrote the truth about what is happening in the Congo, he's in court. In court, simply because he's accused that he has said the wrong thing, which is not in his book. So you see, people like us, when you stand against what is happening, you become a target. And all that is wrong. I said already this, the contrast we have, so rich, so poor. Let's move to another one. Another one. Today in 2023, remote control, I have said that. Another one. African leaders never learn. That is something I have to say. African leaders never learn from the past. Next. If they knew that after squeezing them like lemon to get the juice, when the juice will be over, they will be thrown in the bin. They could learn from Mobutu. They could learn from others. You know, today, if you see with the spiritual eyes, Mobutu is regretting from the bin of history where he is. But of course, officially he is in the tomb in Morocco, but spiritually he's in the bin of history. He's regretting. Next, and this is showing how those who are making people suffer in the Congo and elsewhere, like Putin or whatever, they will end in the bin of history. Next. All this is anecdote, we can move that. Next. I think ignorance, the previous one, ignorance is a disease because that is the Bible who say that. Mon peuple se meurt faute de connaissances in French means my people are dying because of lack of knowledge. It means lack of knowledge, in other words, is ignorance. Ignorance is a disease. And like any disease, it means it needs medication. And medication, in case of in our case, is knowledge. So this is why we are giving you all this knowledge so that you can learn what is happening out there. Next, we have to know that in the past, the conquistador system, you know, when the Viking from Scandinavia could come and destroy and kill, and all that is over. It's another era. But there are people who are still using that today in the name of friendship with the West or the East, going in the other person's house, destroying. And so that strategy of divide them, rule over them and their resources, honestly, it's not something for today or for tomorrow. This is the time of human rights. Next. I wanted to show you this picture. This is multi-million worth diamond. And diamond, you find You find them in the Congo, you find them in Sierra Leone, sorry, Sierra Leone. And wherever there is this stuff, if there is no good leadership, you die, you people. But I am proud of countries like Botswana who are able, I hope among us there are people from Botswana. I'm proud of you, honestly, because Botswana has diamond, but they have managed, because they have good leadership, to develop their country with this. Next. Now we move to number 7. Number 7, what we did. What did we do in CRC? I'll summarize. We are there. Last year we celebrated 30 years of our work. In the middle of this fire, we have lost 5 people killed, including our deputy director, his wife, and his child, sorry, a newborn. His wife was just coming from a maternity, but killed. But we kept working. If you go to the website of CRC, which is in the introduction email George sent you, you'll find how we have rescued. We managed to rescue in 10-year time. We managed to rescue more than 1,000 children from the hands of warlords in risky mission, honestly, risky mission, to go to the middle of the Congo forest, which is so dense and equatorial, to talk to this warlord and to get 1,000. And in most of cases, the big problem or dilemma or challenge was to bring this child to the community. In most of community, even family were refusing. No. This child has killed even their parents here. We don't want to see him. And it was taking sometimes 2 years just to negotiate with parents to get one child back to community. Hard work. And this is why we got in 2020, in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, the UNESCO prize. Amazing recognition. And we thank God for that. But here, this slide is telling how we did just one thing. When something is wrong, you jump. When somebody is drowning in the swimming pool, you know something you can do is to put yourself at risk. You jump in the swimming pool you become rescuer. That is what we did, and what we are still doing. Next. Of course, we became a target. This is why we are here. We are refugees because of that. But peacemakers are like scouts, always ready. This is why once in the UK, once in the UK, for 18 years, we were busy raising awareness of the UK government, of the UK public. We were like crazy people going here and there to talk about what is happening in the Congo. While our friends of the Congo were doing the same thing in US. Next.